once again, you tell someone like that. Oh, there's this pedophile island who's doing all this selling and trafficking young minors to billionaires, and he's looking on trying to enhance his DNA. Like what the hell? Like get off your tinfoil hat and go touch grass. Well, nothing wrong with that, but that's all true.
Yeah.
This is all fact. Cool. So, Epstein's overall net worth, like a lot of people kind of, it's open for debate, like how much he was actually fully worth. Like, was Epstein a billionaire himself? I think he had enough influence that he could get whatever he wanted.
Right. Like, even if he didn't have $1 billion himself, if he could ask, I'm sure Lex Wexner and his buddies were buying him stuff all the time.
Right.
I mean, he was rich enough to afford St. James Island. So
yeah,
you have to say that's pretty rich.
Yeah, like if you own an island, like I think you're okay.
Yeah.
So, but if you tried to put a pin on how much he was worth, people would say he's around 500. What did I put down? $560 million. So he owned 4 planes. One was a 747. The other were Gulfstream jets, so a little bit smaller, like the private planes. And this is when it becomes like the heavy accomplice. Like this is where I think I'm like, how is this the Lolita Express, which we're going to get to in a second? Like this is the sex trafficking stuff. Like this isn't like, oh, I'm a dirty like Wall Street, sex addict or whatever. Like this is the, and in my humble opinion, I'm like, this seems like trafficking to me. And maybe like, I don't know. At times, like it's definitely you have to draw the line between, is this a crime or is it just like agreed sexual deviancy? Once again, I reference Diddy and how I'm like, yeah, that's just sexual deviancy that like old enough like consenting adults can do whatever you want. If like it's not against my will or my religious beliefs, but I'm like having sex parties and stuff is completely evil, and I think it's like basically satanic. But sometimes if everyone's involved, or if everyone is a consenting adult, it's almost like, think about, once again, we won't, like I said, there's some relation to like, pornography in this, but it goes to show this overall arching theme in America and stuff. Does that make any sense what I just said? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would just, because with these flights, he took 2,600 of them. So this is like, that's also by Business Insider. Once again, we're going to try to, cite our sources, with our MLA format as we go out, as we go throughout the podcast. But this all these flights that like he was doing 600 hours of flights a year. That's like 25 days straight of just flying. And there's a ton of business people and influencers and athletes that you fly however many you get logged your miles. Like I know one of our friends, like with your credit card you can get like points and stuff for that. Well, I'm sure Epstein got plenty of points.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's jump into the mansion in New York. So we'll start there at least. So you actually can go and visit this place. Like you can walk by it on the street. Actually, it's, if anyone wants to know, it's 9 East 71st Street. It's 21,000 square feet, 7-floor townhouse. I think at the time it was the most sought after home in New York.
I mean, that New York is just insanely expensive. That's like, you got to be one of the richest people in the world, or friends with the richest people in the world, I guess.
Right. And then obviously this is given to him by Les Wexner. Once again, guys, just hold on a couple more minutes, because right after this, we're going to go into all of Epstein's, or a good amount of his very famous connections and through there. So Lex Wexner is a big part of this. But how did he even get this place, dude? Like Wexner just gave him this? It doesn't make sense. Here's a picture, Dan, of East 71st Street, really quickly.
Photos of U.S. presidents, tech titans, even a pope, a network of hidden video cameras, even a taxidermied tiger. Those are among the items found in sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's 7-story, 21,000 square foot Manhattan.
Watch this picture you're about to see, guys. This is one of the more disturbing
Reviewed by the New York Times.
things you'll see, or creepiest. Look at this.
Shows a sculpture of a bride that appears to be dangling on a rope in the central atrium of Epstein's New York residence.
What the dude?
Yeah, it's
What the That's like open. That's like you're not hiding any of your evil fetishes or kinks.
Yeah, so much of
Like
the
that's
Epstein stuff is like he's just openly boasting about it.
yeah, he's
almost.
extremely braggadocious and arrogant
By
about it.
putting up pictures of all the famous people and all this art that's just, I don't know.
Like that's definitely like a child. Like if you look at it from other camera angles and whatnot, this is we can keep playing this, I guess, as we go. Yeah, pictures with the Pope, dude. Elon McJagger. Like it is mind blowing, dude. Like his mansion was
Yeah.
it was something else, man.
One thing I do want to bring up about the mansion, they mentioned it at the beginning of the clip too, is that he had the security cameras everywhere, all over the place. We still don't have any of that footage, really. So
Yeah.
that's something we know that is out there, or at least was out there at some point, that probably indicts a lot of important people.
Oh, absolutely. But this is, once again, we'll bring this up later. The FBI has said there is no client list. There's no evidence of sex trafficking or whatever. I think I'm like, maybe the client list, like maybe that's a semantic thing where you can get around that. But
Right, there's no literal full list of clients, but there is enough evidence to figure out who the clients would have been. And it's frustrating because I don't know that much about Kash Patel, but I know that he had a podcast before he became, and he was all about. He probably
the guy underneath him as well.
Yeah, he probably had a podcast episode a lot like this one that we're doing right now.
Absolutely.
Where he talked about how important it was to release everything and that the government needs transparency, but then...
Transparency is bullshit because it's political.
Yeah. But then he got his job and now he changed his tune.
Yeah. You mentioned the Epstein Island, right?
Yeah.
Little St. James. So this was a place worth $83 or $63 million. So through different testimonies of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, a lot of other women that we'll be getting to, this is where like group sex and orgies were happening. Epstein also flew. One thing that's like not really always well covered is a good amount of these victims were actually like people, foreign women from Russia that would it wouldn't just be from Russia, but Belarus and similar countries over there.
Well, I should bring up going way back to like the 80s, early 90s, the first kind of victims of Epstein and Ghislaine, where they would just drive down to the poorer neighborhoods and pick up like people who didn't have parents or their parents were drug addicts just because they knew they were the most vulnerable. So I think that was probably the same logic with importing people from all over the world.
Absolutely.
Just take advantage of, the least protected people.
Yeah,
and that's
people
part
act-
of why
yeah.
it took so long for us to even...
People act like that's not the playbook. The playbook is to get someone that's from, now you can just sue someone to an oblivion for. Sometimes I wonder how like defamation and stuff works, because I'm like, the way we'll be talking about some of these other people, like it's a good thing the podcast isn't that big.
Yeah, if it was bigger, you'd be
But
sued.
Oh man, I just don't even know how you fight this and how you don't like the feeling of hopelessness even as you're like researching all this stuff. Like I said, I don't know what the biggest thing that's really caught your eye the most. But it just seems like all this information seems overwhelming. Back to the island, of course. Like here are just some. This is this wasn't it's not from Reddit, but I happened to find a link for this. These are just this is what the island looked like. It only shows a couple parts, but here's like a pool. I still feel like a little uneasy just seeing this. Once again, like just walking around the island. I mean, it's beautiful, man. It's great, but it's like,
Yeah.
you're on an island. Like, there's no escaping. And once again, like, this is what I don't understand. Like, everyone knows the Epstein Island thing was real, so I don't understand how like I'll try to say I'll try not to dunk on the FBI and CIA just to do it. There's times where I'm sure I probably will, but I want to try to be like, slightly responsible with my words. Where say the Department of Justice or whatever, like, so what was happening at this island was, so they were just like hanging out and having like, shooting bang bros like at the island. Like, no, it was like well known that like many people came to this island. So I'm like, this is the island itself is sex trafficking. Like, what do you try to like? I don't understand how you can like justify that away.
Yeah, it doesn't make any
because the
sense.
island was raided.
Yeah, and there's plenty of eyewitness accounts because like there were some people who are on the island just as like maintenance people who claimed, they've confirmed a lot of the people
and
who
you don't
were
hear
there.
shit about like the landscapers you hear a couple things about like a cook or the caretakers, but they also at the same time like they claim a lot of them there's only like 2 people that have come out, or very very low number, and they all claim like naivety that they don't know what's going on. But I'm like, nobody buys that.
I am kind of curious. I don't know what the legal status of the island is now because it was owned by Epstein.
Yeah, so his company like LSJ LLC bought it in '98, but Epstein, or this company bought it, but Epstein was the sole proprietor of this like company, so he bought it for himself.
I don't know what you can do besides just like destroy everything, because I don't know. It feels kind of weird to like imagine it as like a tourist kind of gross place, but I feel like there are people who would want to make it into that.
Well, we're gonna get to Zorro Ranch in a second, but Zorro Ranch is like completely like isolated as well, where it was, He also bought another island, Greater St. James, which is right next to it in 2016. But once again, it's like, how do you buy an island? Like, I don't know. The Epstein Island eventually did get raided itself by the FBI. I bring that up because of Epstein's third property, the Zorro Ranch. So this was worth between $18 and $25 million roughly, 8,000 acres surrounding it, which means like it was really like put away by itself. It was 26,000 square feet. Once again, just absolute. It's like 10 times the size of like a normal house that like we grew up in or whatever. This place had a private airstrip hangar, a firehouse, pool, stables. And one interesting thing about the Zorro Ranch, which like this is one of the things where like I start to really lose my mind, or I just like it's hard for me to even learning about all the stuff about Epstein. Like it's hard to when I look at him, like it's easy for people to be like, oh, you're a pedophile, like you're an a-hole, you're a pervert. But he was like so many things, and I'm not trying to glorify him or whatever. The farthest thing from it, But it's very possible, dude, that like the eugenic stuff took place probably at Zorro Ranch.
Right. So just to go further into that, I guess he's definitely a narcissist because he believed that like his line, his seed was powerful, and so if he could just impregnate as many women as possible, that would be an experiment to improve the human race. Like that's how highly he thought of himself.
Right. And I'm going to turn to my camera directly. So what Dan just said, we will cover a little bit more in part 3, but like that fact of eugenics and like continuing his seed and whatever, that is 100% true. The New York Times covered it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a lot of people know that sometimes.
Yeah,
that's like crazy, man. That once again, you tell someone like that. Oh, there's just pedophile island who's doing all this selling and trafficking young minors to billionaires, and he's looking on trying to enhance his DNA. Like what the hell? Like get off your tinfoil hat and go touch grass. Well, nothing wrong with that, but that's all true.
Yeah.
This is all fact. So I just want, like, as we want to go, like, there'll be times where we'll have to, like, do a full stop and, like, this is a fact. This is not a conspiracy, or this is not like a theory. This is very, very legit.
I think if anything, the eugenics thing might have just gone under the radar because we don't know.
There was a lot of other stuff. Yeah.
We don't know to what extent he actually carried out experiments. We just know that he talked to a lot of people and he believed that these experiments would be a good idea and he planned on doing them.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And so, a crazy thing about Zorro Ranch, it was never raided by the FBI.
That's insane, yeah. Like, not even in 2019.
Yeah, this was sold. The property was sold for $27.5 million in 2021. Also, there's this guy Bill Richardson who I think helped get him this this property. He used to be the governor of New Mexico because that's where. If I didn't mention this, this was in New Mexico. He was also a guy underneath Clinton. And Virginia Giuffre and the Farmer Girls are accusing this guy Bill Richardson of. He's just one of the other guys that are on the list. But it's interesting too because like buying this property too in New Mexico, I don't know if this was a reason why he got it, but also the sex offending laws in New Mexico it's lower actually. So like if you're how it's like under 18, like in once again Florida and New York and stuff.
Yeah.
In Zorro Ranch it's 16. And Virginia Giuffre went there when she was 17. It's just a thought. So the Paris apartment too. Were you aware of this place? This was a really famous one too. This apartment was worth $9 million. This is a place where Epstein and Harvey Weinstein had a falling out because Harvey Weinstein made a move on one of Epstein's favorite girls at the time. So here's a little bit of what that looked like. This is a Prince Andrew here. We'll get to him very soon. So here's just some stuff, but basically this is in the heart of Paris. Once again, many floors. This place was raided. Even like look at this artwork is just very interesting. We're gonna get to the real artwork in part 3, which is like gonna be extremely disturbing and whatnot,
it's like disturbing and weird artwork, but contrasted with like the gold and luxury, opulence, and stuff. It's just I don't know. Outside of being disgusting, it just is bad taste. I feel like.
Absolutely, man. And another unlooked thing. Once like Epstein and he loved. Even though you don't see him wearing like a extravagant like jewelry all the time. Like he between his art and the jewelry that he had like $300 million worth of it. So yeah, man. Going back to what we referenced a second ago, the Lolita Express, Dan. So tell me about this. This is a $10 million plane.
Yeah, this is the big one that technically. So we have the flight logs from this. Technically, being on the flight logs doesn't necessarily mean you were guilty of any crime.
Very important to mention, yeah.
But also at the same time, this is the plane that took most of the people to Epstein Island who wanted to go there. This
is the actual Lolita Express, by the way. This plane should be like decommissioned, burned. Like, I think someone bought this plane.
Yeah, it's so unassuming looking.
Yeah, and it's rumored, but some people said like they made padded like floors, like in the plane. And I think the Lolita Express definitely had like beds on the plane,
Yeah. And even, the name is not like a name that journalists made up because he's a pedophile.
Please highlight this.
The name is a name that Jeffrey Epstein chose to name it because he enjoyed the book Lolita, which I haven't read it. I know it's a classic book, which is it's from the perspective of a pedophile. It's not supposed to be glorifying pedophilia, but a lot of pedophiles like Jeffrey Epstein seem to really like it for the wrong reasons.
Right. Absolutely. And I did want to highlight this too. So really one quick thing I actually just wanted to slightly correct you on is that Lolita actually was not named by him. It was other people and passengers that named it the Lolita Express.
Okay.
So, guys, I want to, doesn't, just semantics, really. But it goes to show you that, like, other people know what's going on here. Other people nickname this thing the Lolita. Why would they name it that? There's no such thing. He did no sex trafficking. Lolita is a 1955 novel written by Russian and Armenian novelist Vladimir Nabokov. The protagonist and narrator is a French literature professor who moves to New England and writes under the pseudonym He details his obsession and victimization of a 12-year-old girl, Dolores Hayes, whom he describes as a
nymphette.
Is that like
a
nymphomaniac and piglet?
Yeah, like a small... Yeah. That's gross.
That word is disgusting. Hopefully we can say it. Humbert kidnaps and essays Dolores after becoming her stepfather. Privately, he calls her Lolita, the Spanish diminutive for Dolores. This novel was written in English, but fear of censorship in the U.S. Really? And Britain led it to being first published in Paris by Olympia Press. This book has received critical acclaim regardless of the controversy. So I just wanted to read one other quick thing, too. So basically he's... I think we've given it enough.
Yeah. And, like, we know that Epstein himself was a fan of the book because there's some images that were released in the Epstein Files release where it was like... This is really disgusting, but they're having girls actually write lines from the novel, like, on their body parts.
We have photos of that, actually.
Which, unfortunately, I've already seen them, but...
Jeez, all right, well, here we go. We keep moving along. We keep trucking. So, once again, that kind of, like,